Good morning. Welcome to the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina. My name is Ellis Boyle. I'm the U.S. Attorney here. I'd like to begin by recognizing the folks standing next to me up here who represent our many partners in prosecuting this case, along with many others who weren't able to be here, but we appreciate them too. We have District 11 District Attorney Mike Waters here. SBI, we've got the director and the assistant director along with some of his colleagues, Chip Hawley. We've got the DEA ASAC for Raleigh, Dan Tilton. We have Assistant U.S. Attorney Scott Lemon here. And in the room, we have other of our law enforcement partners and AUSAs who were instrumental in making this case. We also want to thank the Vance County Sheriff's Office, the ATF, and the Henderson Police for their assistance in investigating this case and making the arrests. We're here to announce the conviction and sentencing of Alexander Snow, that's his nickname, Trowbridge. He's 41 years old. He's from Henderson, North Carolina. He's the kingpin of a local criminal posse that terrorized a large swath of North Carolina, north of Raleigh and Vance County and around that part of North Carolina. This case was part of Operation TYM, to block the bridge. That was a Homeland Security operation. Homeland Security Task Force brings together a partnership among federal, local, and state law enforcement agencies to target cartels, drug gangs, transnational criminal networks, and large drug trafficking operations like this. Across this great country, guns and drugs tear through the community like a stalled out hurricane. Entire counties rot under the stagnant water left behind, drowning, leaving a wake of fear, grief, loss, and devastation. Hopelessness for the survivors, the mothers and sisters, wives and daughters, the sons, husbands, brothers and fathers who fall prey to these predators who profit from misery and death. These heartless drug dealers transform once quiet neighborhoods into places where families feel unsafe in their own homes, where children learn to duck before they dream, and where trust erodes as violence becomes routine. Every gram of drugs drags another person under the murky waters, away from a potentially bright future, taking parents from children, children from parents, robbing young people from opportunity, and unraveling the fabric of entire communities. In August 2019, the DEA and the ATF, working closely with our state and local partners, launched an investigation into a drug trafficking organization operating in Henderson, North Carolina, Vance County. This group was a major source of importing and selling heroin and fentanyl in Henderson and the surrounding areas. Fentanyl kills instantly without remorse. It is truly a weapon of mass destruction made by China, sent through Mexico to kill Americans. As agents pushed deeper into the investigation, they uncovered that these thugs sold large quantities of heroin bricks across multiple counties in North Carolina, even up into Virginia. They determined that this posse drove its heroin supply down from New Jersey into North Carolina for resale. Through their work, agents identified Alexander Trowbridge, aka Snow, as the ringleader. They also identified several other members, including Bridget Burrows, Marquise Gray, Daquan Lovely, and Joseph Trowbridge and Dwayne Trowbridge. Investigators learned that Trowbridge and his co-conspirators used 3 locations in Henderson to store and sell drugs. 56 Kelly Road, that was their trap house. 66 Pinecone Lane and 100 Kelly Road, those were the stash houses. Those stash houses were like a warehouse where they stored larger quantities of drugs and their dirty drug money, and they kept a lot of their guns that they relied on to protect their wares. They hid drugs inside these houses and across the properties, including in buckets, stacks of tires, and wooded areas. Investigators got warrants to use drones to investigate the crew. Here's some footage from one of those drones. This is at the trap house at 56 Kelly Road. You can see it's like a drive-through almost. These folks would drive up, and then the Trowbridge crew would go get the drugs from the trap house and come deliver it to all these cars here parked waiting to make their drug sales. You can see in the red pants and the red shoes there, that's Snow, Mr. Trowbridge. He's got what looks like a trash bag full of drugs that he's walking around to these cars, and you'll see him start to make these sales here. And again, we were able to observe all of this with drone footage. So we're watching. If you're selling drugs, don't forget that. So these folks that he was selling drugs to in his drive-thru, you see them getting in their cars now. They're getting ready to take off and drive. They're driving up the same roads that you and I drive on with our families, going to work, dropping your kids off at school. In fact, on one occasion, the drone footage that the law enforcement were using tracked a drug transaction. You can see that car pulling out there, the red sedan, that's pulling out from the trap house. From the stash house. It's driving down to the trap house. You'll see this red sedan turn left. That's Trowbridge's crew there, turning into the 56 Kelly Road trap house. Pulls up. That black Camaro there is the customer. You'll see a fella get out wearing a white jacket. I believe he also has red shoes on. And as you watch this footage, you will see the customer go up to the drug car, get in the back. He's not in there very long, making his purchase. And then when he gets back out, both of these cars turn around, leave the little parking area, and they get on the roads. Now you see right here in the middle, that black Camaro, again, is being tracked aerially, so we know where he's going. He pulls up to a stop sign there, and if you see that ramp, the car's turning to get behind him. There's a highway patrol SUV turning to the left to pull up behind him, and there's a trooper patrol car getting ready to turn. So they know this black Camaro's doing bad stuff, so they proceed to chase, try and arrest or at least detain, and watch this guy go. This is incredibly dangerous. I mean, it makes your heart race just watching, looking at him go between those cars, cut this car off, and now he's just recklessly speeding around. You see the trooper in the bottom. Look at that. I mean, how does he miss those two people? He blows through a stop sign and almost hits that red car, and now he's trying to hit two other cars, and he's in the wrong lane, going fast. Normal people going about their daily business, and this guy's just bombing through there trying to kill somebody. Thankfully, we watched him. He didn't kill anybody this time. So he thinks he's escaped, pulls in to his house here. You'll watch him drive around back. He and his accomplice hop out. Our friend with the white jacket and the red shoes goes around the front. You see the other guy with the package of drugs. This fellow runs in the front door. The guy holding the drugs, we flip it to infrared, out in the woods, hide in the woods, and then the law enforcement shows up and finds the drugs. So this is incredibly dangerous. These drug dealers and their customers speeding around in our neighborhoods could have easily killed several people. Thankfully, this time they didn't. And when law enforcement searched, they found about 156 grams of heroin in that spot in the woods where the drugs were dumped. This just shows how dangerous all of this is. That led to November 17, 2022. Law enforcement executed federal search warrants at all three locations at the same time. At 66 Pinecone Lane, they found this car with a bunch of bullet holes in it. Draw your own conclusions from that. They also found 38 grams of heroin, fentanyl mixture, stamped with Toy Story brand. Found that in a bucket in the wood line. They found 4 shotguns, 4 rifles, a loaded 9mm handgun, a 31-round magazine, and that's a big magazine. I mean, that's not your normal 15-round clip that you find in a 9mm. They also found a drum magazine. So again, you pop one of these into a 9mm, you got 50 rounds going. You add a switch to that. I'm not saying he did, but you've got an automatic machine gun that can kill a lot of people without paying attention. You just pull the trigger. It's very dangerous. They also found more than 2,000 rounds of assorted ammunition at the stash house there. At 56 Kelly Road, the trap house, they seized a .40 caliber firearm, a large capacity magazine, 25 rounds of .40 caliber ammunition, over $10,000 in cash, and another stolen firearm. At 100 Kelly Road, they found a loaded rifle, almost $89,000 in cash, a loaded 9mm handgun with another extended magazine, and 80 grams of heroin and fentanyl stamped with the Toy Story brand. And they found that in a bucket out in the wood line. And again, that Toy Story, stamping the drugs with Toy Story, just shows that this drug organization, this crew, was targeting children and trying to exploit young people in our communities, which is just evil. In total, from the 3 houses, law enforcement seized 118 grams of heroin, 14 firearms, and well over 2,000 rounds of ammunition, and nearly $100,000 in cash during that coordinated triple strike. During Trowbridge's reign of terror, investigators estimated he and his drug thugs pushed thousands of bricks of fentanyl and heroin into Vance County and the surrounding counties. It's estimated at least 20 pounds over 7 to 10 years. And you just have to understand that fentanyl is not what you're used to. It's like rattlesnake venom packed into a single grain of sand. It's tiny enough to miss with the naked eye, but powerful enough to stop your heart before you even realize it's there. It's roughly 100 times more potent than morphine and up to 50 times stronger than heroin. And his dose is small as just 2 milligrams, which is like that much salt, not much at all. Can be lethal for an average size adult. Our office took all this evidence and proceeded to trial on February 11, 2026, when he was confronted with the overwhelmingly powerful evidence. Trowbridge folded, he pleaded guilty during jury selection. His convicted co-conspirators received a combined 38 years in federal prison. Bridget Burrows was sentenced to 7.5 years. Marquise Gray received 8. Daquan Lovely was sentenced to 8. Joseph Trowbridge received a 7-year sentence, and Dwayne Trowbridge received an 8-year sentence. So this big shark bad boy and his horrible hombres will not threaten this community for a long time. A combined 66 years with the co-conspirators and with the almost 27 years that Snow got himself. In closing, let this be a warning to those criminals who would pump deadly drugs into our community. The federal government is watching and will continue to partner with local, state, and federal agencies to shut down these drug trafficking operations, clean these predators off our streets, and protect the citizens of Eastern North Carolina. If you sell drugs, we will find you, we will prosecute you, and we will put you in federal big boy prison for a long time. It's a simple lesson. Drugs kill, prison awaits. Do right. I will now turn to our partner, Mike Waters, from the District Attorney's Office in the 11th Prosecutorial District, and then we have ASAC Dan Tilton, who will have some words, and the director is always welcome to talk if the director would like to. We'll have some questions at the end. That's the magazine. Those are the drugs. That's the money. All bad stuff. So, Mike.
Sorry. I'm Mike Waters. I'm the elected district attorney for the 11th Prosecutorial District, which includes Vance County. This criminal organization has been a thorn at the very least for us for a long time, and we are grateful for the partnership and all the resources that we were able to pull together. I certainly would like to acknowledge the thousands of hours of effort that local law enforcement has put into building this case alongside with their state and federal partners, and I am glad that this matter is now adjudicated. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dan Tilton. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the DEA Raleigh District Office, Atlanta Field Division. Today's investigation represents more than a significant seizure of fentanyl, heroin, and firearms. It represents what can be accomplished when law enforcement agencies come together with a shared purpose of protecting our communities and saving lives. This case is one example of the strength that comes from collaboration. No single agency can tackle the threat posed by dangerous drugs and violent crime alone. It takes communication, coordination, intelligence sharing, and commitment to working together from the beginning of an investigation to the final arrest and prosecution. The combination of deadly narcotics and firearms associated with this criminal organization, led by Mr. Trowbridge, was particularly concerning. Fentanyl and heroin destroy lives, while firearms in the hands of drug traffickers can turn an already dangerous situation into an even bigger threat to the entire community. By working together, everyone in this room, we are disrupting that threat before these drugs and weapons can reach our neighborhoods. This is exactly what DEA's Fentanyl-Free America campaign is all about. Protecting our communities, preventing fentanyl from reaching those who can be harmed by it, and supporting efforts that save lives. Every seizure represents drugs that did not make it onto our streets. Every firearm removed from the hands of a criminal represents a potential act of violence prevented. And every partnership strengthened through an investigation like this makes our communities safer. Our message today is simple. We are stronger when we work together. All of our agencies may have different responsibilities, but we share one common mission, and that is to protect the American people, keep our communities safe, and hold accountable those who profit from dangerous drugs and violence. Our work does not stop today. DEA, alongside our partners at every level of law enforcement, will continue to follow the evidence, pursue those responsible, disrupt the organizations behind these dangerous drugs, and continue working towards a fentanyl-free America. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Chip Hawley, Director of the State Bureau of Investigation. My comments are a little bit different. This U.S. Attorney here in the Eastern District has made it his priority to make sure that we as a community, we as a state in Eastern North Carolina, do not tolerate this type of behavior. He has made it his mission to get rid of silos, where we all stay in different lanes. He's done away with that. He's willing to cross lanes, cross the highway, back up, go forward, whatever it takes to keep North Carolina safe. And us from the Bureau side of the investigation part of it is extremely helpful to us. Working together across all facets of law enforcement makes this the easiest part of our job to make sure we keep North Carolina safe. And I'm very appreciative of his work here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. Any questions?
Were you surprised by the timeline, how quickly this came together and you have this guy in jail?
No. I mean, these investigations take time. I mean, we started the prosecution, the November of 22 is when the raid and the searches occurred. I wouldn't say that this was particularly fast or particularly slow. It just takes time to especially when somebody's going to go to trial, those things take a while. So having the trial set in February of 26 wasn't unusual, and I think it was right on time. He's been in custody ever since he was arrested back in 22, so he was already serving part of his 27-year sentence, which now he gets to finish.
I know this case obviously is prosecuted under federal law, but North Carolina lawmakers in the state have increased penalties for fentanyl, and it's been a top priority for the governor, for lawmakers in the General Assembly. How has that helped with the with shutting down fentanyl in the state and working with federal and state partners, different penalties, and is there anything else that needs to be done?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a more robust conversation now, and I'll bring Mike up to talk about it, but we engage with our DA partners around the Eastern District. We have 16 or 17, how many? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
District attorneys that overlay in our 44 counties here. And I've followed what the General Assembly has done in terms of strengthening the fentanyl laws, and I applaud that, and I think it's great. And it makes it a more interesting conversation when we are talking with our district attorney partners to decide, are we going to take this federal or are we going to go state with it? But I'll let Mike talk about that.
The legislature over the last two sessions has, and beyond that, has made it a priority to make this a more serious crime. We also, they've allotted resources to that. The legislature has funded special U.S. attorneys that work under the supervision of the local district attorney and in coordination with the U.S. attorney each and every day. And we have monthly meetings, and we make decisions about where we can be most impactful in our prosecutions. And now, because of the changes that have been made in the law, we oftentimes are pursuing charges in state court that we may not have been able to before. So we try to have a very disciplined and organized and thoughtful decision about where we need to pursue cases to get the maximum amount of time for these dangerous people.
Yeah, and I think it's oftentimes you find the laws are running to catch up with the criminals, and I think certainly in the fentanyl context under North Carolina law, they've done a great job of keeping a pace of that, and it's such a dangerous drug. You have to, and so again, I applaud the lawmakers for taking those actions and making it a more robust conversation between the federal and state prosecutors as to where we're going to prosecute these bad guys.
Is there something that else could be done that maybe, I don't want to say there's a gap, but something that maybe there's comes to mind?
I think there's always an active discussion, and certainly, what I would just say is over the last two sessions is we've both been involved with getting resources with the General Assembly that we need to combat this problem. I think one other thing too, thinking about time, we did have a pandemic in the middle of this, and this investigation unfortunately was stymied in part because of that. That made it impossible to proceed through the courts for a certain period of time.
Any other questions?
I have some
Yes.
questions. So what happened to the charges against Javon Peace? They were dismissed. He was arrested, I think, up in the north, moving drugs connected to this.
I do believe there was a dismissal. I don't remember the details behind it.
And how far back does this go? I think the court records mentioned possibly 2016. Does that sound about right, or?
2015, 2016 is when folks believe this began.
And have y'all linked any overdose deaths directly to this operation?
Directly, no, but we're sure they're out there.
And in general, Vance County has one of the highest overdose rates in the state. Do you link that to this operation? I think we saw it almost double from 2019 to 2023.
It's absolutely groups like this that drive overdose rates, and so I'm sure that this group was connected to that.
And y'all describe this as a family affair. It's a fairly large family. Now that there has been this first round of arrests, or what are y'all doing to make sure that the operation doesn't continue?
Oh, we're still watching.
Right, and wasn't there a shooting there in 2023? Was that related to drug sales?
Shooting where? Where
At
is it?
the 100 Kelly? Yeah.
There was a shooting there, and it I think it actually resulted in there was a shooting there, yes, and but absolutely related to this type of activity.
And in addition to drug sales that you showed us, were there other violent crime in that area? Were there reports of shootings in that area during your investigation time from 2019 to 2022?
This type of activity is a driver of violent crime, in this community, but elsewhere, whenever there are drugs being sold. I mean, it is a gang-related activity.
And then what about the supplier? Was there any prosecution of the New Jersey supplier? Do you know?
What I would say is we are always continuing to move up the chain in all of our investigations. And so we don't have anything to announce today on that, but we're always continuing to go up as high as we can.
And the communication, this kind of precedes you stepping into this position, but y'all mentioned how you have increased communication. How did that play a part in this prosecution?
It was instrumental. because a lot of times, like I said, they're silos, whether it be state, federal, local, and people kind of stay in their lanes, you know, not to cross each other up. But with the new U.S. Attorney coming on board, he wanted to make sure that those barriers were gone. So now, the communication, because it's all about communication. If you don't know what each other are doing, you can cross up. Now we're singing off the same sheet of music.
And that's all my questions.
Great. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for being here. Have a nice day.